Hey guys, it's Pete and Roxy here. Today we're going to talk about relationships, including friendships and family relationships and partner relationships, all when you're having a spiritual awakening journey. So we wanted to talk to you guys about a spiritual awakening journey, and what we found was one of the hardest things when we started to awaken, and that was all of our friends and family, our relationship, and family relationships, work relationships, because we are changing so much. We are seeing things from a new set of lenses. We're seeing things from a higher perspective because we are raising our vibration, and we are moving from old ways of 3D density into higher frequencies, into the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. And when we do that process, we are looking for higher states of awareness. We are looking for different experiences. We're looking for wisdom and knowledge, and we're looking for truth. And what we found was our old, our friends that we have been connected to for a long period of time, our family members and people that weren't just awakening yet, we found that they just wanted to do the same cycle over and over and over. And, I'm 34 and Pete's 44, and we had a group of friends that we knew from when we were like 18. So we all started doing the clubbing thing together, drinking, going through that part of our life, and then maturing into buying houses, having children, and then we'd go into the phase of doing barbecues with the kids running around but still drinking, and similar conversations over and over and over again. And there wasn't much expansion there. There was little bits and pieces about business and new little bits and pieces that we were doing, but we found quite lost. And if you're feeling like this as well, it's completely normal.
And it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with those sorts of conversations.
No.
I mean, I know those conversations better than I know the new conversations, and they're just the conversations on, so what's been happening? What's going on? How about the football? How about the, politics? What's going on in the world? It's often conversations about people and about topics, and there's not a lot of depth. And like I said, nothing wrong with conversations like that, particularly when you don't know someone very well. But what we've just found is that as we wanted to get to know ourselves better and go within ourselves and heal ourselves and expand, the types of conversations that we wanted to have were more about topics that were exciting, expanding, and elevating. And, there's nothing worse, is there, than being stuck at a party with someone going on in your ear, and you hear someone else over there talking about something really interesting. You're like, oh my gosh, you're just in your head, I wish I could just get out of here and shotgun over to that one, because that's just way more exciting. And I just noticed that was happening more and more. It was just the same sort of people talking about the same sort of stuff. But, I think you've been gentle, because you could break down some people's responses quite differently. There are some people who are supportive, and even though they don't know as much as we do, they kind of ask a little bit and inquire, and I love that. It's like someone who is starting to awake, even starting to do a bit of personal development and self-help, and you can see that they're eager and they're keen. And while they're still so new to the whole self-help, and it's not about making yourself happy by changing things out there, they've got to that point where they realize you've got to change things in here if you really want to be healthier, have a better relationship, be more successful in your career, your business, etc. Right? So they're sort of at that point, and they're wanting to learn, and they're open. And then there's the people I would put in the middle category, who feel like they've heard of all that stuff before, and they've got an opinion on that, and they're happy to hang around with you, but they don't want to talk about that stuff. They're not kind of asking you about, so what are you guys doing now anyway?
They almost dodged the topic.
Yeah, they dodged the topic, and look, that's fine too. It's like you can still hang out and you can talk about other things, but they're still sort of more motivated to talk about, where's a great place to go on holiday next, or so-and-so's bought a property, or someone's doing something with a shed, and it's very business and accumulating stuff so that if we've got more stuff out there, if we go on fancier holidays, if we buy that new car and whatever, that'll help them to feel better about themselves and more successful, and that's cool too. I completely understand. I used to be there at that point. But then there's the people who hear about what you're doing and they're actually not supportive at all, and you get that feeling. Like, have you ever had that where you're excited about something new and it's almost like the person's not happy for your enthusiasm. They're not giving off any sort of energy of love, support, encouragement. In fact, they don't like that you are excited about something new, and even when you say, oh, look, the whole idea of this is for me to just be a better person, right? To be happier, healthier.
They're not even happy about
to have more peace of mind. That's right.
Yeah.
They don't even, and it's almost to the point where they're like, oh, that's all a lot of bullshit. Or, oh, I don't, and they stay away. They're non-supportive. And there's this fair group of people who we used to know who fitted into that category. And first thing we've got to do is go, well, if they're not interested, well, stuff them. We're going to cut them off and not have anything to do with them. I mean, if you said that, you're at a stage where you're going to go back and go, whoa, hang on a sec there, buddy. You got to look at yourself. You don't do that, is what I'm saying. You got to look at yourself and you've got to go, how do you respond when that comes up? Because not everyone's going to agree with your new so-called what I'm into. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to grow and learn about ourselves on how we respond to that, how we take that. It doesn't mean that you need to put yourself in a situation, though, where you need to be dismissed, picked on. You need to sit there and, answer awkward questions and try and justify what you're into and potentially put yourself in a position where you're going to get projected on. So you don't necessarily need to just hang around them because that's the right thing. But you also need to realize that there's no judgment needing to come from you. There's no, even pity, I don't think is the right term. Just they're where they're at. They're going through what they're going through. And you know what? Really, they're just a person who's got pain. They were a little kid growing up in this world like all of us were, and things happened. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or stuff happened, or we got projected on by our parents, and we had all these expectations, and they're just trying to deal with that.
It's part of their experience which they chose. We all choose an experience to feel on earth. That's why we're here, for an experience. And these people are also anchored into 3D. They haven't woken up yet. And so when you see it from a higher perspective, a fifth dimensional perspective, you can see all 4 pillars. You can see the process of evolution of consciousness. And they're anchored into a low 3D density where, like Pete said, they want to support their ego, they want to buy things, they're in survival mode, this is all they get. They don't know about awareness around your consciousness traveling to other planets after you die. You don't just die. There's a lot of work to still be had, and when you're at that fifth perspective, you can see that they're still on their journey at those points. Like, we have been there, and we broke through the change, and we slowly but surely elevated, and the divine filled us with the information that we needed to have around all of this information, and they will eventually rise as well. But to realize that yes, they are friends, and yes, they're a long-term friend. The purge for me was to come to terms with that and to accept that, and to be okay with a separated friendship. And it has taken me a little bit of a while now, because your girlfriends are your girlfriends, but realizing what energy and that is coming, and no support in that transaction. It's important to separate yourself from that, because and observe yourself of how you respond to that. And so for me, there was some girlfriends from from school, and I thought I had to be their friend because of the long-term friendship and the old belief system that I had. But in fact, the energy was moving me away from it, because I was elevating fast and they weren't actually allowed elevated being around them, so to speak. or it was limited because of their density, and they haven't chosen to choose themselves, work on themselves, elevate their consciousness when all of this information is around. So the energy is setting you up with people to expand you, to bring awareness to you, and to separate you from old belief systems. So once I got my head around that, just recently I accepted that, and I realized that the group energy is not where my particular being sits in that 3D realm, low 3D realm of girls, you know, carrying on like the old days. I've actually, you know, moved through that, and you know, I am a delicate being. I need to protect my energy fields like we all do, and move to a more conscious conversation.
And it's amazing though how when you put yourself first, in other words, you choose self-love and get away from the old, which is the guilt, right? Where you're like, oh, I've known them for so long, I can't not go to their barbecue because, you know, like I'm one of their long-term friends. Well, you don't just go to that barbecue or that dinner or that get-together to then sit there, particularly if they're going to talk about the person who's not there, who didn't turn up for whatever reason. And sort of, you know, talking about people, and I don't want to use the term bitching, but it can be bitching, guys and girls, bitching about people, talking about low energy stuff. You don't need to put yourself in that situation just because you've known someone for a long time. So my point is, I think the first point out of all of this is to realize once you put yourself first and you realize, I'm going to actually start to be very careful of who I put my time and my energy into and who I surround myself with. Now, some people I have to be around because it's for their work colleagues or etc. But then there are people who I choose to be around. Choose interactions where when you leave the interaction, you feel elevated, supported, loved, expanded.
And can I just add in here, if you need help with it, with this energy, to ask your guides to help you understand where you need to be, because the energy is so powerful. It'll move and shape where you need to be and what meetings you need to be at, right?
Yeah. And you're choosing who to be around, and you know what you're going to find? The people who you do hang around and probably are getting support and encouragement and elevation from are probably not the people that you've known for a very, very long time, right? Because a long time ago, you probably weren't where you are now and have the same ideas and opinions that you have now. So there's going to be new people coming into your life, and this is the really important point I wanted to get to. How good of a friend someone is has nothing to do with how long you've known them. Let that sink in. You do not need to have known someone for a long time for them to give you what you can need from a friendship, which is support, encouragement, elevation, and there's the excitement when you finish that interaction and you're home together, you go, aren't they a lovely couple? Or wasn't that great to bump into them or see them at the park or at the beach or whatever it is? And at the end of it, you feel like, wow, they're really good, positive people.
And just reflecting on that is you moving up and elevating, like being conscious of how you feel when you drive away from those people, or, you know, these conversations after we go out for dinner with couples or friends and we go, okay, how did we feel? What was that? What are we feeling like? Oh, that was an elevated conversation. Being actually conscious of it and understanding your body and how you feel after an interaction and energy exchange.
Yeah, and then guys, be very, very careful about topics of conversation that can potentially cause eruptions in people. And these are usually, and particularly at the moment, political conversations, either they're to the left or to the right, and conversations to do with what's going on around that, to do with vaccinations and control and the money and the security and masks and all of these different topics. These are topics which can potentially be very divisive, and particularly with family, often family, right? So these are people who you've got to be around. Family and your work colleagues I'm talking about here. Those sorts of people, you've got to be around them. So if someone gives their opinion and does a complete unload, we've got to learn as elevated beings to be okay with them having an opinion that we don't particularly agree with at all. And don't feel like it's up to you to change their mind or to say what you think or to try and tell them what's right. Okay, just in some situations, you just need to sit, let it come over you and go, wow, in yourself, well, that's an interesting perspective, and learn to respond to potential things that might trigger you. As you get wise and elevated as a being, you'll observe yourself responding to things rather than the old, which is to react. And they go, oh, that's a lot of crap and I don't believe that. And there's evidence, it's proven, and everyone gets all upset and worked up. I mean, that's not where we need to be at. It's not for us to change people's minds. People will do it themselves when they're at their point of
just smile and just say, oh, let's talk about something more uplifting, and get yourself out of that conversation. Like, prepare yourself and get out of conversations like that, because it does end in relationship splits. And everyone is very passionate about religion and political agendas at the moment, and it's better just for everyone not to talk about it. Have your opinion, yes, use your voice if you feel called, but always go back to how you respond to someone telling you something. And if you can see it from that fifth dimensional perspective, you're doing really well. And that's probably the wrap for the video.
Yeah, and guys, make sure definitely you take active action in searching out positive, supportive people. If you don't know anyone like that, if you're going, I don't actually even know anyone who's like that, then join our Awakening Education public Facebook group, free to join, get involved. People share stories and positivity and whatever. And if they're, wanting to be around other people and share ideas from all over the world, that's a great opportunity. Change the hashtags that are coming up in your Instagram. Go out and actively search so that your feed gets filled with the good, the clean, the powerful, the positive, to help to boost you up. Guys, we're here to support you and to work with you guys on your journey. If ever you feel like you want to take action and really push yourself forward on your awakening journey, get in contact with us. Both of us do coaching to help you to understand what some of your self-limiting beliefs, clear the pain and the trauma from your childhood, and to really be able to get that vessel emotionally and mentally clear, so that then you can take action on getting yourself physically clear, like learn the basics of how to meditate, breath work, journaling, to get everything out of you, so then you can connect to the divine better, tap into your guides, your higher self, and start the progress and the process of moving forward and elevating. That's how it works, guys, and we're here to assist. So thank you for today's attention and for tuning into us. We support all of you guys on your journey. Please give us a like or a share, drop a comment below, because we love hearing from you, and we'll be back with another video real soon. you